Hello, my name is Valerie Lewis, and if you are watching this video, I must have met an unexpected and untimely demise. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I just always wanted to say that, like they do in the movies. I'm kidding. I'm fine, y'all. I'm in Florida. I'm on vacation. But through the wonders of technology, I am able to join you all tonight. Thank you so much, Kendara, for inviting me to be a part of your psychic development monthly course. And thank you so much to Awkwardly Zen for letting me be a part of this, even from afar. So again, my name is Valerie Lewis. I'm a psychic medium, a tarot teacher, and also a life coach. And today I will be talking to the group about tuning into your gifts. Now, as a psychic, I believe that everyone is psychic. I don't believe that it is something that is a gift that is only attainable by a few select people. I believe that everyone is psychic. I believe that we are all born that way. In my view, psychic abilities are an extension of our five senses: sight, touch, taste, smell, and whatever the other one is. It's an extension into the non physical. So we extend our sight into the unseen. We're still able to see with our psychic third eye, and so on and so forth with all of our other senses. We can hear. When we talk about being able to hear spirit whispering or hear spirit's voice, we're not hearing with our literal ears, we're hearing with the extension of our senses into the non-physical. So everyone has this ability because everyone's got senses. So when we talk about psychic development, we're talking about the difference between just having the ability of being psychic, like we're all artists, we're all singers, but some of us are better at those things than others. Psychic development is honing in on those skills, on those gifts, and really practicing bringing them to the surface and making them a skill that we can use for our benefit and for the benefit of others. So, psychic development. When we talk about psychic development, Kendara has already gone over the clairs. I'm sure she has already given you an overview of the different clairs that are available. And what I would like to do is teach you how to figure out which one of your clairs is the strongest. Now, a couple of things. If you are working on developing your psychic senses, and of course you are, that's why you're here tonight, you would want to know, kind of be able to know where you stand on each one of the different clairs. Maybe you want to continue to work on your strongest clair so that you can become phenomenal and become the best at what you do. Or maybe you're already pretty good and pretty stable with those stronger clairs, and you're thinking you want to work on some of the other clairs. And you just need to get um, a good baseline, a good metric of where you are on those clairs, ranking them, seeing if you have any insight at all on some of the clairs where you are. And so the exercise that I'm going to lead you through is going to help you not only determine which one is your strongest clair, but also be able to kind of rank the other clairs in order of strength so that you can decide which one you want to dig in and work on first. So with that being said, I believe that before you do any type of psychic work or spiritual work, that you should do two things, two important things, three if able, to prepare yourself for the work that you're about to do. You should ground yourself, you should center yourself, and you should set sacred space. I'm not going to go into details on how you do that. I will give you a brief overview though. Grounding is about your energy, how you call it in, and also how you discharge the extra energy that you're not using or that you've already used and you need to get rid of. Grounding, think of it the same as you would think of it in a literal sense, grounding an electrical current. There's always that port that allows you to send off and discharge extra or excess energy or energy that you do not need. And that's what grounding is. Grounding is allowing us to connect to celestial energy, to the energy of earth, to whatever energy we are calling in, but also keeps us situated here in the physical plane so that we don't overload our system with too much energy as we do this work. Grounding allows us, gives us a port, a place to also discharge that excess energy as we call in energy. So grounding is very important. If you've ever heard of psychics getting fried out, or they feel like they give a reading and then they have to rest 3 days, it's probably because they are very new to grounding or because they are not practicing grounding sufficiently enough. So grounding is important. Centering, once you've got grounded and you've got that flow of energy and you've got a place to send the excess energy and you're calling in that energy, centering is focusing that energy, telling that energy where to go. So for psychic development, you might want to center all of that energy on your third eye and help you develop those senses. You also might want to center it on your heart space. I consider my heart space my connection to the divine, among some of my other chakras, but that's a big one. So you might want to center all that energy that you're calling in on your heart space or your third eye. Those are the two that I would suggest, but do that in a way that feels comfortable for you. So I suggest that you ground, that you center, and setting sacred space is about calling in your helpers. So after I have grounded and centered, I call in my angels, I call in my protectors, I call in my spirit guides, I call in another aspect of myself. And I have all of these beautiful, loving creatures surrounding me before I do my work. That's setting space for me. And I ask them that they only let in messages or entities or energies that are in my highest and best good or the highest and best good of the person that I might be reading for. So for me, that is setting sacred space. That involves making sure that I am calling in and correctly connected, but it also makes sure that I am protected. So grounding, centering, and setting sacred space. I hope you all have practiced that or at least have a way of doing that on your own. I'm going to encourage you to do that on your own. Go ahead and do it now. Um, and the exercise, as far as tuning in and discovering which one of your gifts are your strongest, is going to be a meditation. Now, if you don't know how to meditate, just pretend I'm telling you a story and use your imagination or call it a visualization. You can still do this exercise even if you are a little hesitant to meditate. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to invite you to start before you even close your eyes. Ground, center, set sacred space, and I'm going to give you a few moments to do that on your own, just by taking a couple of deep breaths. Allowing your system to calm down, allowing all of your energy to be present with you in this moment, allowing yourself to connect with Mother Earth, to discharge any extra energy that you don't need, calling in your protectors, your team, your guides, and gently close your eyes. Continue breathing deeply and slowly, allowing yourself to relax into this present moment, to feel grounded, centered, connected, and protected, and relaxed and calm. If your mind should wander, just gently bring your attention back to your breath. Release any expectations that you might have, and just enjoy this simple meditation. I want you to begin by envisioning a beautiful garden. There's birds all around, and you can hear them singing songs. You see a rose bush in front of you. I want you to begin slowly walking towards that rose bush. As you get closer, you notice that all of the petals of each rose are a deep black. Take a moment to just appreciate the unique beauty of these roses. Look at the thorns on the stem, the green leaves, and the rose flower itself. Feel the warm glow of the sun on your skin as you stand in this beautiful garden. I invite you to reach out and run your hand along the roses, feeling their silky petals. Run your hands along the stems, touching the thorns, being aware of them. Now pick one of the flowers from the stem, pluck it out, hold it in your hand, and smell its beautiful floral fragrance. It smells like a rose, but much more luxurious than any other rose you've ever smelled. And it also has its own distinct, unique smell. Take a deep inhale and really savor the smell of that rose. Now I'm going to ask you to bite into that flower. Just take a nibble out of it. And as you do, you realize that to your surprise, it has a deep, rich, chocolatey taste. Take a moment to savor the flavor. Feel that chocolate melting on your tongue. Now, as that chocolate taste slowly begins to fade from your tongue, you're filled with a deep sense of wellness and happiness and inner joy. You look back to the flower and you notice that where you bit into the flower, it's beginning to regrow back into the perfect form as if you had never bit into it. Now take this beautiful flower and place it back where you plucked it from. Miraculously, the flower becomes part of the rose bush again, as if you never took it off to begin with. As it remerges with the flower, you hear a heavenly sound coming from everywhere and nowhere all at once, and a quiet voice whispering coming from the rose bush, and it thanks you. It thanks you for acknowledging its beauty. It thanks you for gently caressing it with your hands, for tasting it, and for returning it back to where it belongs. Gently step away from that rose bush and allow the vision and the image to gently fade away. You become aware of where you are, back in your body, back in the room you're sitting in. Take a deep breath and slowly blink your eyes open and come back to the room. Now, during that very brief meditation where we experienced the black rose, you also had a chance to tap into or experience all of your clairs. Now, I want you to take a moment, maybe take a piece of paper and pencil out, and I want you to rate each clair on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being perfect clarity, and 1 being the inability to conjure the sense at all. And this will help you get an idea of where your natural strengths are and where you need to put extra work in. So we're going to start with clairvoyance. Were you able to conjure the image and see the garden? Were you able to see the black roses? Were you able to see the birds? When you were able to pick up the rose, were you able to watch it as you put it back and it regenerated? Did you watch it grow back where you bit off? Were you able to see these things in your mind's eye? Rate that from 1 to 10. That is clairvoyance. Clairtangency, the ability to feel. Were you able to feel the sun on your skin in the garden? Were you able to feel the silky rose petals or the thorns in the stem as you touched them and ran your hands across them? What about the emotional feeling, that feeling of wellness, happiness, and inner joy? Again, that's clairtangency, and rate that from 1 to 10. Clairgustance is taste. Were you able to taste the flower in your mouth? Did you get a taste at first before I told you it was chocolate? Were you able to taste chocolate on your tongue? Rate that clairgustance from 1 to 10. And again, 10 being perfect clarity and 1 being the inability to conjure the sense at all. Now, clairalience is smelling. Were you able to smell the roses? That unique, beautiful scent. It smelled like a rose, but it smelled so much more. What about when I told you it tastes like chocolate? Were you able to smell chocolate? Were there any other smells present as you were standing in the garden? Maybe the smell of a fresh spring day. That is clairalience, and rate that from 1 to 10. And then last, we're going to do clairaudience. That's your hearing. Were you able to hear the sound of the birds chirping in the garden? Were you able to hear the heavenly sound coming from the rose bush as it thanked you, the small voice? Maybe you heard a breeze or heard other animals. Were you able to hear anything? Rate that from 1 to 10. All right, now again, this is just a very brief exercise. There's many available to be able to tune in and determine which one of your clairs is the strongest. This exercise, I do want to give credit where credit is due. This exercise was taken from The Psychic Witch, and I have forgotten the name of the author. It is The Psychic Witch. It's an excellent book. I would highly suggest it if you are looking to develop your psychic skills. That's a great resource to go to. And that is what I have for you as far as identifying what your strongest sense is. If you have any questions about that, I'm sure Ari or Kandara will be able to answer your questions you might have about your senses. But I encourage you to decide which one of your senses you want to work on. Just because you have one that's really strong, that doesn't mean that that's the one you have to go to. Maybe you want to go somewhere in the middle, or maybe you want to go for that one where you got a 0 or a 1 on, because you really want to develop that so that you have the full spectrum of all of your senses. Many psychics do have access to all of their senses, but they have those go-to, and even very rarely the other ones come up. Like for me, the smell and taste very rarely come into play, but they absolutely do. But it would be a very unique situation. But maybe you got nothing on those. Maybe those are the ones you want to work with. Maybe you want to stick with your strong ones. It's totally up to you. That's just what I want to emphasize. So this was just an exercise to give you a good idea of where you stand on the spectrum with your clairs. I hope you enjoyed it. And before I part ways with you, with Kandara's permission, I would like to advise you all of a special that I am running. Well, it's not exactly a special. It's in April. We are starting within my group, Twirl Unicorns and Coffee, a psychic development course. We start on April 14th. There is limited space available. You get individual psychic development coaching in a group setting. And so I have 6 spaces left. And if you are interested, Ari is going to put a link over in chat where you can sign up for the course. Or if you're kind of interested and you're not sure and you just want to talk to me first, I'm also doing free 10-minute discovery calls, and you can schedule a discovery call with me and we can chat and see if this is a match for you or not. So thank you all so much. And thank you again, Kandara, for having me. Thank you, Ari, for standing in for me. And I hope you all have a wonderful